Hello, and welcome to our first episode in a new series I'm calling Talking Screeps. In this series, I hope to talk to some prominent Screeps players and ask about what they do, their professional background, and if they have tips or tricks for newer players. Our first guest in the series is Quickstrike. On a personal note, I'd like to thank Quickstrike for all the help he gave me when I first started Screeps. He would spend lots of time talking to me in Discord calls, that kind of thing, and put up with a lot of very noobish sort of questions, so I'm very grateful for that. Quickstrike is actually a speedrunner, and today we're going to be talking about what speedrunning is, how you can get involved, that kind of thing. So without further ado, thank you for being here, Quickstrike.
No worries. Happy to join you.
So first of all, what is speedrunning? So in other games, like for example Half-Life, it's you complete the game as fast as possible. So purely in the context of Screeps, what is speedrunning?
So, Screeps being an open platform game, there's essentially a set script for speedrunning. So, where a lot of other games have like a particular level that is considered the speedrunning or like a main portion of the game, we take the default server on Steam and we have decided on a room that is considered prominent in the context of speedrunning. And the goal is within those restrictions, so everyone has the same starting point. You compare your times against other players.
Your times to do what, sorry, exactly?
So the Screeps speedrun is to get to RCL 5 in as little time as possible. So within the Screeps context, every time you upgrade your controller, you get new features and abilities within the game. And the RCL 5 timer is a reasonable time in order to achieve that, but still shows the context of your bot and your different methods of achieving that as quickly as possible.
And by as quickly as possible, I assume we were obviously talking about the number of ticks to achieve something, not like a wall clock time or anything like that.
Exactly. So the Screeps runs off of a tick-based system, so everything is noted within that system. Generally, that's decided on the inbuilt timer in the controller, but if it goes beyond that, there are other contexts for that time.
Cool, thank you. So what are some of the rules of speedrunning? Like, what are the things you can do, what can't you do, that sort of thing?
So the set rules are, generally speaking, we use the specific room that I was mentioning before, but the default server is the accepted area for speedruns. There are other rooms that can be used. The rules specifically are you have to monitor your controller so that they can see a continuous activation of your run. You can only have the one room, which means you have to start a new save file, and you can't have previous built or other rooms assisting you in the speed run, and you can't use any glitches or hacks within the Screeps. So it has to be basic gameplay essentially. And then also it has an additional rule where you can turn off invaders, which are like the auto attacking creeps, so that there's no amount of randomness within the speedruns.
Great, thank you. So are these rules posted anywhere? Is there like a Screep speedrunning website or something like that?
Yes. So when you join the Screeps Discord, there is a dedicated speedrun tab, and on the top of that tab, there is an HTTP link in order to get to the main speedrunning site, which is generally the site that's considered accurate for speedruns. And within that, it has the show rules and different runs.
Cool. So could you just, for example, like hard code in all the positions of the sources, that kind of thing, or is there a rule against that? Just out of curiosity.
So there is no specific rule against hard coding. Generally speaking, the better players considered hard coding as a kind of cheating measure. It's easy to hard code the speedrun. The basis is to show off your ability to accomplish the task, and hard coding data within that kind of goes against that purposes. But there is no specific rule against hard coding.
So what is your current ranking in speedrunning?
So I currently have the second rank behind Rising, who has the first rank.
Oh wow, that's quite impressive. So what actually got you interested in speedrunning? Like, what made you decide that this is what you wanted to do in Screeps?
So a long time ago, I played Screeps back in 2015 when the game was still new. I had stepped away for a number of years, and I had joined back into the community recently. And at that point, I wanted to really kind of create a bot that I could be proud of and that was optimized and running very successfully. And that kind of turned into a rabbit hole of slowly optimizing to the point that I had the first place at one point on the speed run. I'm very detail oriented and I like to make sure things are running perfectly before I go on to the next thing. And it's kind of been a continuous process of improvement to make that happen.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what is your professional background? Does your job involve lots of coding, that kind of thing? Or is programming something you picked up specifically for Screeps?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I did a little bit of coding as extracurricular courses, and I had picked up Screeps originally at that point. Otherwise, I'd have no background in coding, so I didn't do it for school or anything else.
And you don't use it for your work or anything like that either?
I do not.
Oh wow, that's quite impressive. So there you go. Even if you've got no official programming background, you can still pick up Screeps and have a good time. So obviously, achieving second place and first place previously is quite impressive. What would you say makes your bot different to some of the other bots that have, got lower rankings in speedrunning?
Ultimately, a lot of the bot is just the continuous refinement. There's a lot of strategies that we have come up together. My bot is not achieves everything on its own. Ultimately, Rising, who has the current rank as well, we spent a video call together kind of brainstorming ideas to improve, and he very well utilized those, and he got the first place because of that utilization. So ultimately, speedrunning, as a lot of other games, is kind of a continuous process between a number of players slowly generating ideas and refining and orienting those ideas in order to see what's successful and what's not successful. Speedrunning is very much that, where you come with a specific model, you try to make it work, see what needs to be done, see what can be done differently, and kind of improve on that. And then a lot of the speedrunning is trying to have your bot utilize the high level concept as successfully as possible. So that's some of the advantage of players that have done a lot of speedrunning is relaying and some of those other higher level concepts, which you don't see a lot in standard Screeps gameplay because they're difficult or unpractical to implement. Within a confined environment like speedruns, it's a lot easier to make those show success.
Cool. So it's quite amusing that you actually helped your opponent build a better bot than yours and get first place. Does
So
that bother
kind
you
of
at all?
ironically in that situation, so Rising had the first place before I had taken it for a short amount of time.
Mhm.
And then I had posted my first place bot, and it was like a month or a month and a half with no activity. And then he pinged me in the speedrun chat saying, "Hey, why is your bot so hard to beat? I've been trying to improve mine to the point where it's beating you for weeks, and I'm having a really hard time." And at that point, we had jumped into a video call to kind of improve things together. And I'd given him some ideas that I'd come up with after my latest orientation or iteration, I mean, that he could implement in his newer version as well.
So, by your own admission, you're quite deep down the rabbit hole of speedrunning. But what about if there's like a new player who wants to get involved? Like, how do they even start like trying to build their speedrunning bot and hopefully try and compete with you and the others? What would be your advice to
So
them?
ultimately, and this is what I do with individuals like yourself whenever we're orienting them as a new player in Screeps, is Screeps has so much depth that you need to essentially create an idea of what you're interested in and focus on that for a period of time. I find a lot of players will be excited for a short period of time and then almost get overwhelmed with the amount of informational input because ultimately they're seeing all of these very advanced players that have been playing the game for years and years, and they're disappointed that their bot's not functioning the way as of these players at the beginning beginning of the process. So it's very important to kind of come up with an idea of what you're interested in, whether that is speedrunning or like the worlds or events or arena, which is their new game mode as well, and kind of focus into that. And don't be disappointed when you do a speedrun and it takes you 30,000 ticks to get to RCL 5 for the first time. We were all there at one point in time. It was the constant dedication to improving that enabled us to improve beyond the 30,000 ticks of the first run.
So what would you say is the first, like, let's say they've decided, I want to do speedrunning, like, Quickstrike, you've inspired me. Like, what would be your first bit of advice to someone who's completely new to speedrunning?
So ultimately, for someone that's new at speedrunning, is you have to get a general concept of the coding and what the different intricacies are of Screeps. So whether that's you spend time talking with people in Discord or you review the current runs and such like that, you have to have a concept of the higher level concepts within Screeps and the ability to implement those concepts. So you get the tutorial done and you have a creep that has one move, one work, one carry part that's going back and forth from the spawn, and you're so proud of it because it's like, oh, I got this bot working, but you realize that's like the least efficient strategy that there possibly can be. And it's
I apologize for the abruptness of which this video ended. Unfortunately, my recording software decided to just stop recording, and I didn't realize it at this point. I am investigating why, and hopefully we'll make sure this never happens again. I didn't want to get Quickstrike to come back and do a re-recording, so I didn't want to bother him a second time. So I decided just to record this short thing here. So basically, if you're a new player who's decided they want to do speedrunning, make sure you learn the ins and outs of the game, and start small and work your way up. I also asked Quickstrike one more question after this before we wrapped up, which was what is the feature he's most proud of in his speedrunning bot, and he mentioned the snake, which is a series of rotating creeps, if you look near the controller, that are upgrading the controller. And he says this is a lot more efficient as a way of like making sure they have energy and not having to respawn new ones. And then after that question, we actually finished at that point. So thank you so much for listening. I'll do my best to ensure that never happens again. And hopefully we'll see you again for the next episode of Talking Screeps. Thank you very much.